your candle and go light your world. Take your candle and go light your world.
I just graduated college. I majored in psychology and philosophy and religious studies, which is a guarantee to a low-income job. Should I even find one? Well, as of now, I am on the same track of not having a job. I work part-time as the assistant director of campus ministry, and that's about it. I started to put my faith in God to help me find a job, because I wanted to work in my vocation, so I thought that if God wants me to work in it, He'll help me find a job in it. And it's been difficult. It's been about 10, 11 months now, and nothing. Not that that's really that long of a time, considering how other people are waiting, but considering I know where I want to work and what I want to do, it's kind of hard. So I've started losing my faith a little bit. Started wondering why God would want me to work in youth ministry if there's nothing I can do in it, if there's no openings, or if there's nowhere I can go. And then I started thinking back. One of my favorite Bible verses is Psalm 23. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me always. Your rod and your staff protecting me. My grandmother wrote this psalm in a letter she wrote me on my freshman retreat in high school. It's stuck with me since then, and it's always kind of helped me. And when my faith started to dwindle because I couldn't find a job, I started looking through my old letters that I had received. And this one popped up, and I read through it. And she started the letter with this. And then she started talking about my grandfather. And my grandfather died when I was younger. And I have ADD, so I'm kind of, you can see I'm kind of jittery right now. Well, my grandfather had a bad foot. So whenever we would go to their house, first thing they would always tell me is, don't hit your grandfather's foot. What's the one thing I did every single time? Ran around the house and kicked my grandfather's foot. Every time. So I always got in trouble, and he always yelled at me. And you think that would make me think my grandfather hated me. But I never really thought he hated me. I just thought I was like his least favorite grandson. But my grandmother wrote me a letter. And in the letter she said, even though he always yelled at you because you always kicked his foot, you were one of his favorites. And it's because you always loved him. Even though I always kicked his foot because I was always running near him. Like I was always running up to him, asking him questions. But it says she wrote another saying. And the next saying is that all the darkness in the world cannot extinguish the light of a single candle. And that's something that's always stuck with me. Because it's made me always remember that even though things may seem darkest, God is always there. God is that light. He is that candle that's burning. And that candle cannot go out just because the darkness is coming. It will always be there and it will always shine bright. So as luck would have it, 2 weeks ago, I was on Google, I was bored, and I was sitting there, and I Googled these exact words. Catholic jobs in New Jersey. Although I did NJ, not New Jersey. And right at the top of that search popped up a job. And I was like, all right. So I read through it. The job had been posted the day before. And the job was titled Associate Director of Youth Ministry for the Archdiocese of Newark Retreat Center in Kearney. It's quite a mouthful, and yet I can still say it. But I started reading through the job. And you know how when you're younger, you have this one job you want to apply for? And like you know what the job is. Like, oh, I want to be a fireman. I want to be a police officer. I want to be an astrophysicist. Well, I never knew exactly what the title of the job I wanted was. I just knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to help and work with people. And I knew I wanted to work with teens. So I didn't know exactly what the title was, but I knew what I wanted to do. And as it turns out, this is the job I want to do. Every bullet point on this job description, in my head, a voice just kept saying, Dan, apply here. Dan, apply here. And it kind of got annoying after the third bullet point, but I still kept reading. But in case you're wondering, I have applied for the job, and I've been on 2 interviews for it, and I'm waiting for a phone call. I think the interview went well, but the point is, you can't trust God to plop this job on your lap, because the job is out there. You just have to find it. So, I knew I wanted to work in youth group. I knew I wanted to work with youth. I didn't know how. And that caused me to lose faith. But then just as my faith started to dwindle, God was there. And he showed me that the job is out there. You just have to put the work into finding it. It reminded me that even though things may get their darkest, there will always be a light to shine the way.